Hope you're doing well today. It is October 17th. We are going to be looking in John chapter 9 today at the man who's born blind and the Lord heals him. Verse 1, now as Jesus passed by, he saw a man who was blind from birth, and his disciples asked him, saying, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but the works of God should be revealed in him. I must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. The night is coming when no one can work. It's real easy to get into the practice of thinking when something like this man who was born blind, it's like, either he's getting what he deserves or his parents did something horrible and they're getting what they deserve. And Jesus says, no, that's not what's going on here. So anyway, he heals the man. And as the account goes on, come down a little bit. Oh, they brought him to the Pharisees. Oh, and it was the Sabbath when Jesus did these things in verse 14. How dare he? They could circumcise their children on the Sabbath, but they didn't like it when Jesus healed on the Sabbath. But anyway, that's Jesus' point. He makes in another place. So they asked him, hey, what happened? He says, he put clay on my eyes, and I watched and I see. Some of the Pharisees said, oh, this man's not from God because he does not keep Sabbath. How can a man, others said, how can a man who is a sinner do such things? There was division among them. Interesting. They said to the blind man again, what do you say about him because he opened your eyes? He said, he is a prophet. But the Jews did not believe concerning him that he had been blind and received his sight until they called the parents of him who had received his sight. His parents say, yes, he's our son, he's born blind. They're afraid of the Jews, though, so they say, ask him what happened. All we know is he's our son and he was born blind. He's of age, ask him, verse 23. So they call him and they say, give God the glory. We know this man is a sinner. He says, whether he's a sinner or not, I don't know. One thing I do know, that though I was blind, now I see, verse 25. They say, what did he do to you? How did he open your eyes? And this is where I think it's funny. He answers, I told you already, and you did not listen. What? Why do you want to hear it again? Do you also want to become his disciples? And I think it's funny because, effectively, he's saying, here's a man who's formerly blind, and he's basically saying, I already told you. What are you, deaf? I already told you. You've already asked me this question. I already told you. Can you not hear? I already told you that. I already told you. And as it goes on, he says, they reviled him. They say, you are his disciple, but we are Moses' disciple. After he says, do you also want to become his disciples? They say, you're his disciple, but we are Moses' disciples. We know that God spoke to Moses. As for this fellow, we do not know where he is from. The man answered and said to them, why, this is a marvelous thing that you do not know where he is from, yet he has opened my eyes. Now we know that God does not hear sinners, but if anyone is a worshiper of God and does his will, he hears him. It's like, are you deaf? Why can you not see this? Why can you not see what I now can see? Are you blind? Can you not see what's going on here? That's what this guy's saying. Effectively, are you deaf? Are you blind? And he says, here, let me teach you. He says, verse 32, since the world began, it has been unheard of that anyone opened the eyes of one who was born blind. If this man were not from God, he could do nothing. They answered and said to him, you are completely born in sins, and are you teaching us? The answer to that is, yep, sure am, to the back half, not the first half. They cast him out. That business, notice there, they say, you were completely born in sins. They're saying the same thing that the disciples were saying at first. Who sinned, this man or his parents? These folks were saying, oh, you were completely born in sins. So we can go down that same road. We can go down that same road. He's cast out. Verse 35, Jesus heard that they had cast him out, and when he had found him, what a lovely verse. Jesus heard that they cast him out, and he goes looking for him. And when he had found him, he said to him, do you believe in the Son of God? He answered and said, who is he, Lord, that I may believe in him? Jesus said to him, "You have both seen him, and it is he who is talking with you." Then he said, "Lord, I believe." And he worshipped him. And Jesus said, "For judgment I have come into this world, that those who do not see may see, and that those who see may be made blind." We better take advantage of the Lord's judgments in verse 39, because otherwise we're like the Pharisees here. And the man says, "What are you guys, deaf? Why can't you guys see this? Are you blind too? Or are you just ignorant? Or are you just ignoring it?" And that's the danger. That's the danger. Take advantage of the Lord's judgments so that we can see and so that we can hear, so that the Lord can heal us. Appreciate you. Hope this has been helpful. Have a good day. We'll see you in our next look into God's Word.